Hi, it's Eugene Ebner with BroadwayWorld TV, and I'm extremely honored to be with the one and only Tovah Feldshuh. Hi, Tovah, how are you?
Hi, Eugene. I'm terrific and very happy to be with you and with you all.
We're so excited because, as many of you might already know, but for the ones that don't, Tovah has a show at Feinstein's 54 Below, February 22nd, 23rd, and also February 26th, entitled Tovah is Leona. And this is basically songs featured from the new musical, The Queen of Mean, and it's about the life of the infamous hotel mogul, Leona Helmsley. How did this all come about?
Well, Alex Lippert, David Lee, and Ron Passaro, the book writer, lyricist, and the composer of Queen of Mean, came to me and offered me the role of Leona Helmsley. And it's a very rich role. It's a very rich role. Anybody offers me a great role, I'm interested. So I said yes, and it's a big musical with 30 characters at this point, which would take $12 or $13 million just to get up there on Broadway. And I said, in the meantime, why don't I support your work? So Jeff Harner, James Bosse, and myself, Jeff Harner being my director, James Bosse being my conductor, and I being Leona Helmsley. Yes. And in a way, I guess the line producer, since it's cabaret, and my fee goes to those people. We created a new piece called Tovah is Leona, where Leona is up from purgatory for 60 minutes to set the record straight and sing a few show tunes. And she is back to vindicate herself, on trial, if you were, with the audience being the jury and the judge. And she presents her case, and by the end of the show, we hope you both love her and hate her, that there are 50 shades of gray with how we feel about anybody. And she justifies what she did and why she did it. And there were also references to Donald Trump because she had a very acrimonious relationship with him back in the 80s.
Which is actually quite fitting right now, isn't it?
It's quite fitting. It's quite fitting.
It is. How do you go about channeling somebody like her? You had mentioned earlier to me that because we know that you're a very well-versed and experienced actress and have done all types of roles. Well, for somebody that's just intentionally been that mean in their life, what do you do to be able to bring that out yet still entertain at the same time?
You have to find the triggers. So I absolutely understand her trigger for excellence. She had standards. If it wasn't an A+, it was an F. I have lyrics that, sanitized ain't clean enough. Perfect isn't good enough, right? Ready isn't fast enough. Yesterday ain't soon enough. So she had tremendous standards and vision that she was never going to compromise. As a result, because I had my 50th birthday party at the Helmsley Palace, there were no hotels run like this. None. And I was married at the Plaza in the 70s. But when I had my 50th birthday in an undisclosed decade, I was thrilled with the service we got at the Palace Hotel. It was meticulous. Mm-hmm. So she felt she set a new standard for hospitality in New York, and in many ways she did. Mm-hmm. And also she married a very moral, decent man, and then she overstepped her bounds, and she dragged him into the mess. And you don't want to mess with the IRS. Once the IRS wants you, they will not let go until they get you.
And it doesn't matter how much money you have.
No, it doesn't. And also I think that Rudy Giuliani at that time, who was an unbelievable mayor during 9/11, really a great mayor, but at that time he was wanting to run for mayor, and he needed a great case where he would be a hero. In the West Coast, it was Milken, and the Milken was Milken Library, all those philanthropic things Milken did. He went to prison, and in the East Coast, it was Helmsley and some of the other very wealthy real estate moguls. Mm-hmm. So as she said, I say in this act that we love. I'm up for 60 minutes, and she says, if you're a woman in this life, you better watch out. If I were a man, I would have walked or been elected president.
Oh, I think that's a reason to go and see the show just with what you said. I love that it's coming back around full circle for you too, personally, because like you said, you had experienced the hotels that her and her husband created. Did. And now you're playing her.
Also, I've met employees of hers. So when I play her, my job is to become her. So if it's natural for her to be mean for what I feel is no good reason, the fact that I feel it's no good reason is none of my business. My business is her business. She comes first. She's the primogenitor. She must have been very hurt in her day. She must have been verbally brutalized in her day, and thus she passed it on to the next generation. There's a whole segment in the play, it's actually a hybrid between a cabaret and a theater piece, where she's trying to please her mother. And she says she's going to live like a little princess in a castle, and that there's going to be a bell where we can ring it, and servants will come. And the next line is, my mother wasn't even listening, and my siblings, they just laughed. And so there was a part of her that says, I'm going to make the score even here. My karma's going to spiral me to the top, and then I'll show you for the way you treated me. Mm-hmm. So that's the most difficult part of the piece. Mm-hmm. But her love for Harry was real. Her love for her son was real, and her love for her dog, Trouble.
I know, what was it?
Was real.
One of the richest dogs ever, what, $12 million originally that she said.
As she says, I left him 12, we had unconditional love. Mm-hmm. First of all, he had a caretaker, he had a groomer, he had a bodyguard, he had a chauffeur to his private limo, a pilot to his private plane, and he also had properties. I mean, he was a Helmsley. There was the log cabin doghouse out in Scottsdale. There was a Frank Lloyd Wright at the top of the Park Lane, and then his favorite was his Balinese pagoda up in Vermont. And, you know, he was little, but he was fierce. He was my best bodyguard. People don't believe me, but after Harry died, I spoke to Harry. I could reach him through this dog.
Wow. See, I'm like...
Come see this. Come see this.
You gotta come and see this. I'm experiencing this right as she becomes Leona. It's amazing. But that's the brilliance of it, in my opinion. The clips that I have seen, because unfortunately I have not seen it live, but I'm going to.
Yay.
On February 26th at Feinstein's 54 Below, that is. But the thing is that I noticed already with the clips is that you do bring to me the perfect balance. You tell the story, you show where this came from, like you mentioned earlier. She didn't feel validated. She needed to prove, and she thought, I will show you, which drove her to the top.
Also, talent is the ability to hit a target nobody else can hit. Genius is the ability to hit a target nobody else can see. And in one area of her life, she was a genius, and that was the balabusta, the housekeeper. She could see dirt where other people couldn't see it. So as far as she was concerned, she was surrounded by people who were deaf. How many times do I have to tell you to do this? You didn't listen the first, you didn't listen the second, well, listen the third. You don't do it, you don't have respect for me and my hotel, get out. This palace is my home. Her speech pattern is wild because it's not consistent. Very often, she's from Brooklyn, but an R will seep in, a hard R, like from New Jersey, you know. If you're not going to do what I want you to do, then get out. You're fired. So sometimes there's no R coloring. Sometimes it's very hard. So it's very hard R. I find her fascinating. She was really a balls to the wall, liver of life before the women's movement and way before the hashtag Me Too movement. And she sacrificed a lot to be the #1 broker in New York when Harry Helmsley met her.
Wow.
Right.
She raised herself up to the top before him.
She absolutely did. And she was in a unique moment in real estate where rentals were being converted into co-ops, and that's where she shined. Because she could convince a tenant of a rent-controlled apartment to buy. So by the time she met Harry Helmsley, he knew her name.
That's why the song that I've seen on YouTube, Real Estate.
Yes. Real estate, the one place a woman can thrive. Real estate, if she doesn't get eaten alive. And it's wild. She says, no. She says, I have no experience, I have no degree. It's perfect, I'll go into real estate. And I look forward to singing this score by Ron Passaro with lyrics by David Lee and added lyrics by Alex Lippert, and to bring their work forth into the light. And then my incredible director and conductor, James Bossi, my conductor, Jeff Harner, my director, buffer these new tunes with great American standards. All the great American standards that I know you've been dying to hear Leona Helmsley sing. I mean, her sense of herself is crazy.
Well, but it takes you on this amazing journey as you channeling her through, but then also gives us the ability to see elements through the music, through you as her, through the acting, and that's what I love about cabaret, and of course
and
Broadway.
to give you the unexpected.
Yes.
That's the thing. I have to know more about her than you do. I also met her employees. I met the ones that were not fired. So one of them said, you know, she had about 6,000 employees. Yes, she fired about 100 of them. But that's not a very big ratio. But 100 people is a lot of people. That's 100 firings.
That's true.
And some of it must have been summary. You know, if she just, somebody opened their mouth and she'd go, get out, you're fired. This palace is my home. I work on it 25 hours a day, 8 days a week to make it perfect. And if you're not going to follow my rules, if you don't have enough respect for me or my gorgeous guests, then get out, take your uniform in. You know, she would not compromise, and she was doggedly loyal to Harry. Loved Harry. Bad for her. She became his little, you know, geisha.
Wow.
At night they'd make magic. That's what they said. They would dance all night and make magic. We make magic. Pookie, Snooky, gorgeous, dreamboat. So that's her other side.
Well, and that's what's great about it, because you get to present both.
That's right.
So anyone watching right now, please come check Tovah out, channeling Leona, the Queen of Mean. You will not be sorry. Unless she gets too upset with you in the audience, and you might be.
Unless that cell phone goes off
Exactly.
when I'm working. And watch out.
So once again, at Feinstein's 54 Below, February 22nd, 23rd, and also February 26th. We can't wait. Check it out, information listed here. And we can't wait to see you shine again and continue to share Leona with us, and then take that from cabaret to Broadway.
You bet. Thank you, Eugene.
You're welcome. Thanks
you
for
so
spending
much.
time with me today.
My pleasure.
All right.
Oh, yes. It ain't easy being queen. Or she would say, it ain't easy being queen.
And there you go.